Hello, I'm Dr. Jim Taylor, and welcome to Prime Business Alert. This segment of Prime Business Alert focuses on smartphone rules to live by. The smartphone has become a ubiquitous status symbol of and tool for business people doing business. In offices, on the streets, and in airports, what self-respecting business person doesn't have their smartphone, whether a BlackBerry, iPhone, Android, Windows, or Palm, at the ready to make the deal, provide support, change the plan, or just stay up to date on their company's latest developments at a moment's notice? The smartphone's ability to provide business people with instant access to others through email, text messaging, the web, and phone has, in theory, saved time and made the business world run more smoothly by keeping everyone in a company connected all day, every day. It can truly be a tool for increased communication, efficiency, and productivity. Unfortunately, the smartphone also represents a corporate culture gone mad, in which it seems as if everyone feels they're so needed that they simply can't be out of touch with work, lest the company collapses without their constant input and output. The smartphone has, falling prey to the theory of unintended consequences, become a weapon against business people that may actually hurt corporate discipline, focus, and productivity. It's also created an upheaval in the already fragile fault line between work and life. This state of constant connectedness has blurred, or in fact obliterated, the line between work and life, creating family conflict and threatening any hope of peace and quiet when away from the office. So here's a question for you. Do you own your smartphone, or does it own you? Here are a few ways to tell. Do you take your smartphone with you wherever you go? Is your smartphone the last thing you look at before you go to sleep and the first thing you look at when you wake up in the morning? Do you make or take business calls regularly when away from work? Do your family and friends give you exasperated looks when you pull out your smartphone constantly? If you answered yes to these questions, your smartphone probably owns you. Despite the obvious tongue-in-cheek tone so far, this unhealthy relationship with your smartphone has real consequences both at work and at home. At work, it can be a constant distraction. Those notification beeps are like a siren's call of Greek mythology that prevent you from focusing on the immediate task at hand. At home, the constant ringing and beeping, or just your compulsive checking your email, is not only a persistent irritant for your friends and family, but it also keeps you from being present in your life away from work. Thankfully, there's some tangible steps you can take to break the grip that your smartphone has on you. Here are 7 simple rules you can follow to help you regain control of your smartphone so it once again is a tool of efficiency and productivity rather than a weapon against your freedom and mental health. Rule number 1, don't look at your smartphone in the morning until you're ready to respond to it. Peeking at your email or phone messages before you have dressed or had breakfast can only create unnecessary distraction, worry, and stress. If you're married with children, it will also prevent you from being engaged with your family before you leave for work in the morning. In fact, if at all possible, don't even look at your emails during the drive to work. Again, it would serve no purpose as you can't, or at least you shouldn't, be thumb typing during the commute. Unless, of course, you're on a train or a bus and you can respond to your phone and email messages. Rule number 2. Don't look at your smartphone during the day unless you're ready to act on it. It's not uncommon for business people to look at their smartphones as they head into a meeting or just before a conference call. The primary consequence of this is that you'll be distracted from your next task. You'll be thinking about what you found in your smartphone instead of focusing on the task ahead. Rule number 3. Turn off all smartphones during meetings. In fact, every company should have a no smartphone rule for all meetings. There are few things more irritating, distracting, and productivity killing than having people at a meeting looking at and typing on their smartphones. They're clearly not paying attention to the meeting and therefore unable to contribute in any meaningful way. It also distracts others from the meeting. It wastes time and prolongs meetings because no one's focusing on the agenda. Quality and productivity suffer too because the lack of engagement means that effective problem solving and decision making will be nearly impossible. Rule number 4. Don't check your smartphone less than 30 minutes before you go to bed. If there are calls and emails you think you must respond to, you'll get to bed later and you'll be riled up, so you'll have a harder time falling asleep. The reality is, in most cases, they can wait until morning, so best not to look. At best, commit to not checking your smartphone at all in the evening. At worst, choose a time between 30 and 60 minutes before bedtime when you can take a last look at your smartphone. Rule number 5. Don't do your smartphone when you're trying to do life. In other words, don't look at your smartphone if you're interacting with others, doing something that's supposed to clear your mind of work, such as exercise, meditation, having a meal, watching a movie, or hanging out with family or friends. There's nothing more annoying to family and friends than to be with you when you're making business calls or responding to email. Why even with them if you're with them in body only? It's okay to check your smartphone periodically, but only if you don't interrupt more important life stuff, and only if you're expecting something that you may actually have to act on quickly. Rule number 6, don't use your smartphone when it would be rude to do so. You may think that you're important, and you may truly be, but that doesn't give you license to be disrespectful of others. Restaurants, grocery stores, and public transportation are some of the most frequent settings for rude smartphone behavior. As someone who travels frequently, there are few things more annoying than some business type who doesn't realize that he, and it's almost always a man, is using a cell phone, not a yell phone, and as a result shares his phone conversation with the rest of the gate area or airplane. If you absolutely must take a call in public, be aware of the loudness of your voice and try to move away from people if at all possible. And a practice that I use is to cover my mouth when speaking on my phone in public. I was hoping to start a trend here, but this attempted mobile phone etiquette hasn't really caught on yet. Finally, rule number 7. There are exceptions to the above rules. The reality is that there are times when you have to be available no matter where you are or whom you're with. You may be on a call, there may be a crisis or a big deal in the pipeline. Understand that these rules are not set in stone and can be modified to fit your own particular needs. What's important is that you have rules that guide your smartphone behavior, and to establish those rules over your smartphone as the default rather than the exception. So deviating them requires deliberation and conscious choice. Your dependence on your smartphone is a habit that develops through repeated use. So you can think of separating from your smartphone as breaking an old habit and ingraining a new one. It takes commitment, discipline, and repetition to change. You'll find that there are many upsides to regaining control of your smartphone. The people in your life will welcome you back from the smartphone precipice and actually want to be around you. You'll be more relaxed, more engaged, have more fun, and be a whole lot happier. And despite your great fondness for your smartphone, you might just find more interesting and enjoyable things to do with your time. I'm Dr. Jim Taylor for Prime Business Alert.